Good afternoon. This is Noel, and just taking a walk here uh, down to the bridge. And I know I mentioned a few times in videos, um, you know, making these things for my future grandkids and all that. Just to have when I'm no longer around. And so I thought, I don't know, maybe I should do more of an introduction. um, of myself anyway, and um, I don't know, start there and see where it goes. So obviously, we're recording, just reading in the morning, um, and there's, I mean, nothing really, you know, uh, revolutionary there, I guess. It's just more. Uh, I don't know. I think it'd be cool if I could have something like that for my grandfathers, and so um, that's why I decided, okay, I'm just gonna turn the camera on while I'm reading, and you know, read and talk to you guys. So um, that's that's mostly what I've been doing on here, and um, but uh, anyway, I don't know. I had that idea a few weeks ago come to me, really from watching some other guys much older than I am, but that have recently passed away, and just like thinking, oh, their kids and grandkids and all that, like you know, once that initial sting probably goes past, would like to come out here and see their grandfather, talk and read or whatever every once in a while. Um, so anyway, that's the idea. Um, uh, it's turned out to kind of be really enjoyable as far as just reading out loud. Um, and I mean, I'm not good with that kind of stuff in the first place. But it's not about that to me. And if you need a professional reader to read you the Bible, there's plenty of places to go for that. Um, yeah, this is more about slow and take your time and talk about maybe a little bit about um, what you read about today and that kind of thing in there. And yeah, so um, yeah, so beyond that, I am currently standing on my land. It's not a ton, but it's enough for us. It's about half of these woods, and then I don't know, the other half is pretty much grass and buildings. Um, so you know, we're very blessed to get this when we did, and um, uh, we're in the Midwest, and there's not a ton of places where you can buy woods like this that are you know right down the street from the city, basically. So that's worked out really, really, really nice, and um, And when we first moved here, you couldn't walk in here, at all. It was super thick and everything. So my son, who's in college at this point, came in and made us a bunch of trails so we could get through here. You can kind of see a little bit of it right there. So we can get through here and get four wheelers back here and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so we've been working on it for a few years. Um, it's a lifelong project. So uh, yeah. And then you've heard me mention raising dogs, and so where you see me do the videos, reading the Bible and stuff, that's my office. Um, but it's really a platform in our dog building that I made, so I can work full time out there with them. Buy me and everything, take care of them during the day, and all that kind of stuff, and then um, do my full time job. So that works out really nice. And then puppies are in our nursery in the house. Um, but yeah, so we raise puppies. Not you know not a ton by any means, but it's been really enjoyable and fun. And um, I don't know, I would do that for a full living if I could. Um, but it's I'm sure like any type of farming kind of job or career lifestyle, it's just all the time and uh, 7 days a week kind of thing. So um, I don't know if you're thinking about getting into dogs. It is 7 days a week. I can tell you that, and you know there's a lot involved. At least to make sure everything's done right and the way it should be and covered and all that kind of stuff. And I've kind of already dirty. I've been out there with them doing stuff all day, and uh, yeah, it's fine. I mean, if you know enjoy the dogs and all that kind of stuff, and it's great. It's just you know there is still work, um, so work and a lot of expense, um, a lot of expense, uh, but it's all right. Uh, so I guess a little bit of backstory. I actually grew up in the South in Louisiana, and uh, sorry, and moved north when I was a teenager, and um, you know, aside from some short periods of time, I've pretty much been here since I was a teenager, and um, tried to become accustomed to it. Uh, I think I'd prefer to be maybe further south just for the uh, weather and um, I don't know. At least for the weather, we'll say that. Um, but when you start having your own kids and career and all that kind of stuff, like you are where you are, and so we go down south as much as I guess we can, or as much as I can, but not remotely enough to what I should. Uh, it's currently fall 2025, um, and my two grandmothers um, are in Louisiana still, and Um, so yeah, I don't see them nearly as much as I wish I could. And then all my aunts and uncles and cousins, all that. And then my the rest of my family, my parents and sister and stuff live here. Not too far from where I live. Uh, but um, trying to think of what you may need to know for an introduction. I guess I work kind of in healthcare full time, um, as a contractor. So I've been doing that for, I don't know, 10 years, and I really enjoy that job, or my job, and my work and stuff. Um, yeah, I still have three girls at home. My son's in college. Uh, you know, I suppose if you are watching this in the future sometime and you happen to be one of my grandkids, then either your mom is still at home living with us, or your dad is in college right now. Um, yeah, so uh, that's about how that goes. And my grandfathers um, in Louisiana were, amazing guys. Um, um, yeah, they were just two special guys. They worked hard. Um, they were both, you know, de- just devout Christian men, and took care of their families, uh, and even to greater extent their the community around them. Um, and both of gone on to heaven. One, years ago, and then the other about a year and a half ago. And yeah, that's what I mean. It would be amazing if I could, had videos like this of them, um, whether it's just rambling like this, or reading the Bible, or whatever may come. Uh, you know, this is, I don't know, a luxury opportunity, I guess. Something that they didn't really have um, available, and so um, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, I can at least pass on some stuff to my future, grandkids and family, and at least give them an idea of where they came from, and that kind of thing. So just pretty much keep going the way that it is, and I uh, uh, I don't know if you can hear that, somebody on a motorcycle up there, but um, yeah, I just plan to read through the New Testament, and then probably try and go into the Old Testament, and just record those while I'm reading, and uh, see how it goes. Um, yeah, besides the kids, I really really enjoy the dogs and cigars. Um, so that's why you always see that on here, and uh, it's just something you can do that really requires you to stop for a minute and relax. And I mean, I guess it doesn't require you to relax, but it gives you the opportunity anyway to stop and you know record a video or read or think or whatever it is. So I appreciate that about smoking cigars. Um, and um, trying to think of anything else that may be a good part of an introduction for you. Happy to answer any questions if I see any that are while I'm still alive. Anyway, I don't plan on going anywhere, but if this is sometime in the future, then so be it. Um, I guess I uh, was raised in a Southern Baptist church in Louisiana, where my grandparents, my dad's side, moved to this tiny town, little town, not long after the Korean War. My grandfather was a corpsman in the Korean War, um, and yeah, so they kind of, I guess, married and settled there all the many years ago, and that's where I was raised, and uh, with church and everything. That's where I started anyway, and then the last, I don't know, 8 or 10 years. Um, we've been going to this non-denominational church that's right down the street. Um, it's fine or whatever. Uh, I don't know. I'm not overly enthusiastic about it, but uh, you know, it's okay. Uh, you know, um, and yeah, there. I mean, we've been involved in various things, at the church over the years, and leading and participating, all the stuff. Um, so uh, I kind of at a point where uh, it's kind of like you'll hear in a lot of the videos in the mornings when I'm reading. Um, Kind of at a point of trying to align, I guess, what we're reading in so far Matthew and the beginning of Mark with what we actually practice. Um, as Christians, whether it's at church or just Christian lifestyle or following Jesus, any of that stuff. Um, because like we see in Matthew and the beginning of Mark, so much of it is, or so much of what was going on there was, Pharisees and the teachers of the law and all that were, making the rules and this is what you can do and can't do and all that kind of stuff. Uh, and I'm fine with whatever the truth is, and what that requires. Um, I'm kind of at an odd point of not being convinced that we get the actual, you know, truth and idea of following Jesus. Um, you know, I'm not I'm not sure. It's kind of like a very simple, uh, like if you read Matthew and a little bit of Mark that we have so far, like the things that Jesus is telling the Pharisees and the things that they're saying, to him or whatever, are, he could easily say about a lot of the modern church and a lot of the things that were required of the disciples, um, to be disciples of Jesus. Excuse me. Um, a lot, a lot of the time, probably the majority of the time, um, you know, we lack the like direction of what to do. Like somebody trusts in Jesus, and that was kind of the goal. And uh, you know, but you see these disciples who they trusted in Jesus to this point of giving up everything, or whatever it was, of dying, of being willing to be arrested, and whatever it is. um it just do you basically, do you feel like you are a disciple of Jesus that is you know full of so much faith and trust in him that you know you would give up anything that you felt like he was asking you to, or you would say, no, I'll go to jail, you can arrest me, like I'm not going to stop you know talking about him, or you know you can and I mean, just recently there was hundreds of Christians killed in the Middle East, and are we making that kind of disciples? you know Not that we want to test that by any means, as far as um, the level of faith that these folks have in the Middle East to stand up for Jesus, to the point of just being slaughtered. But it frustrates the daylights out of me that we make it so just you know not the big deal that it is. Um, don't I mean I'm totally guilty of the same thing. So don't I'm not on some you know behind some pulpit here telling everybody the right way or this. I have no idea. This is just like what I'm gathering from at this point in life and everything. So it just I want it to be real. I want it to be authentic, and like um the truth and all of that. And I mean, I myself want to be, the kind of man that, would follow after the disciples that we read about in the New Testament. I mean, that's a tall order. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a theologian. I'm not a pastor. I'm a regular dude. Um, and sometimes I think too much probably about things. Um, and I know there's not meant sorry, squirrel, literally a squirrel. Um, but I don't know. I know a lot of the thoughts that I have, you know, can upset the norm, I guess. Um, I mean, I don't go around sharing my thoughts just for fun, but at least on here, um, I know it can be difficult to question the normal. Like yes, we get up and go to church every Sunday. We do this, and this. Like um, like if we've been doing the same thing for year after year after year, and we're still the same, or I don't know, maybe if we're not, I don't know, growing, becoming wiser, becoming more like Jesus, taking another look at his, words and, questioning if, or if, how this applies to me. I don't know. Yeah, um, it's just kind of some thoughts, maybe overwhelming thoughts. I don't know. Um, uh, I enjoy the thinking and learning and stuff, and so this may be a little too much for most people. I don't know, and I don't really expect anybody to really be listening to this, but um, it's just like I said, it's been really nice for me to read out loud and you know share regular Joe thoughts, um, and that kind of thing, and uh, I don't I don't do the whole like this is the doctrine and debating and arguing, that kind of mess. You know, no. As far as I can tell, reading in the book, at least Matthew and a little bit of Mark we've done so far. I've read this many times, over the years and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just going to keep referring to our reading, or when I'm doing it live here. Uh, but the folks in there that did this whole rules, Jewish law, doctrine, whatever you want to call that, that kind of stuff, were the Pharisees, were the people that were you know well, I mean, not just killing Christ followers, they killed Jesus. So I don't know. I think that's somehow easily missed. Um, with a bunch of folks that get onto this whole doctrine train and you're wrong and I'm right and that kind of mess. Um, I don't know. To me, it's just ignorance. Um, there's people that are struggling and hurting every day, um, all that kind of stuff, and that's what we should be, I think, concerning ourselves with, um, and our own, personal growth and friendship relationship with Jesus. Um, at least for the majority of us. I'm sure there's a place for theologians and all this stuff and that kind of thing, and of course, but anyway, so yeah, this is just gonna be a bunch of ramblings and some reading, and when things come up, I'll you know share those also. Generally, probably live a little less exciting life than most. I don't know. As far as pretty boring and simple. Um, uh, but like I said, if my grandkids see this one day and then allows them to hear and see me for a second, um, you know, it was worth doing it. So, uh, yeah, I guess that's the beginning. I'll plan on I don't know, doing some more like this that are more uh, I don't know about other topics and things that I've been through in life, and uh, like recovery stuff and my other sister and family stuff, and you know all that kind of thing, and um, just to share life. And um, I've always been very private, which this kind of seems the exact opposite of that, and it is. Um, but like I said, I had that thought about doing this, and the realization that like I'm not gonna be here forever, uh, and that's okay. Um, but I can do that for my grandkids. I can open up for my grandkids and be on here, um, and that's fine. That's what I'll do. Uh, anyway, yeah. If you have any, I mean, if anybody happens to watch this, if you have any questions or comments or cigar suggestions or any of that kind of stuff, feel free to let me know. Um, otherwise, yeah, thanks. I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you a little bit, I guess. I will, I'll be back tomorrow morning to keep reading. All right. So, you guys have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow.